this is Flurry Moon. Welcome back to my channel. It has been like 2 months since my last Forgotten and Discontinued Toys video, and I don't know how that happened because you guys literally ate that up, and I loved doing it. You also loved my recalled toys video, which I will be doing another one of those very soon, so keep an eye out for that. But today we will just be going over more Forgotten and Discontinued toy lines, mostly from the 2000s and 2010s, like how I did in the last video. I just love going back and reminiscing on these projects that so many people put so much work and love into, just to fade into obscurity not even 10 years later. And maybe in doing that, this video will remind some of you guys of these toys that you might have had so much fun with as a kid and just completely forgot about. Let's just get right into it. I am so excited to talk about this. This is one of the more niche toy lines we'll be going over today, and I have to say these little guys are so nostalgic to me. The Dog, also known as Artlist, The Dog and Friends, is a Japanese franchise created by Artlist in the year 2000. Initially beginning with this simple yet effective idea that is taking photos of dogs using a fisheye lens, these photos were made into postcards and even calendars. With over 100,000 photos, the franchise quickly began to grow, also continuing to sell t-shirts and other forms of merchandise, even including other animals such as cats, bunnies, hamsters, birds, and pigs. At this point, the franchise had pulled in over $300 million in sales, so naturally the line would expand. In 2003, 4Kids Entertainment bought the rights to the dog outside of Asia, and the most consistent seller of the franchise would be the plushies sold in department stores such as Target and Walmart. Although they weren't described to be flying off shelves at the time, the dog was seen as a real contender, selling nearly $60 million in the US in 2004. However, toys attached to TV shows and games were all the rage at the time, such as Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! So these little guys would need some exposure and fast. This brings us to the 2004 McDonald's toys in celebration of 25 years of the Happy Meal. This special mini line of the dog plushies were available during the month of April, including 12 different breeds of puppies to collect. This included a Golden Retriever, Dachshund, Dalmatian, Pug, Labrador Retriever, Beagle, Bull Terrier, Cocker Spaniel, Miniature Schnauzer, Siberian Husky, West Highland Terrier, and the German Shepherd. My brother had the German Shepherd, and although I was like 2, he had this thing for a while and probably still does. I just remember finding it so unique and just like adorable. They had so much character. I don't know. I really like the Dalmatian, and I'm such a dachshund girl. I love wiener dogs. I want one so bad. This, in my opinion, was a great business move for the dog. This is what introduced the franchise to most of its audience, as you didn't have to walk into a department store in order to see them. Now, if you were just on your way to, say, soccer practice and needed a quick 6-piece or 20-piece as we used to, or it was a classmate's birthday party, or simply your parents just didn't feel like making food that night, you could easily end up with one of these little guys, and naturally you'd want to collect them all. Due to their miniature size, children began wearing them clipped onto their backpacks, and many internet users reminisce on trying to collect all of the dog Happy Meal toys and longingly remember the ones that they never got. I still have the Husky. He's on my keychain right now. I had the Golden Retriever. Wish I still had him. I needed the Pug, never got him. Was looking through Google and found this. I have 9 out of 10 of the dogs, but my dad threw away the golden little dog. Top 10 anime betrayals. Anyway, this wouldn't be the last time McDonald's would collaborate with the dog, as they would release more Happy Meal plushies in May of 2005 with the Dog and Cat collection, which, like, okay, these are really cute, like, of course they are, but does anyone else feel like they kind of dropped the ball on the cats? It feels like they don't have the fisheye effect. Like, I feel like they could have made the noses bigger. I don't know, is it because they're sitting up? Obviously they're cute because they're little plush cats, but I feel like they could have done better. Anyway, they collabed once again in 2006, just with the dog plushies. I personally like the style of the laying dogs as opposed to the standing ones, but I do fear that's just nostalgia kicking in, so let me know what you guys think of this slight design change. Anyway, the dog franchise would get more merchandise, such as a Monopoly game and a few of their very own video games. In August of 2003, the Dog Master would be released exclusively in Japan for the PS1. This was an educational puzzle game with the description reading, "Do you like dogs? Do you think that you know a lot about them? In that case, you will love this game. The Dog Master is a game about dogs. The game got a complete database of a lot of dog types and breeds. This might be translated a little odd from Japanese. I feel like that's probably why it reads a little weird, but there are quizzes testing your dog knowledge and jigsaw puzzles which create an image of one of the dogs. You could also try to beat your own times, in which like how fast it takes to complete the image, which I think is pretty cool. There's a 40-minute Let's Play on the YouTube channel Language with Liquid, and he translates the Japanese in real time. So if you ever wanted to see what this game is actually all about, I highly recommend that video, and I will of course put it in the description. The game in question is considered pretty rare, as I have never seen anyone with an actual copy of it, at least not on the internet. So let me know if any of you guys know anything about the Master Dog. The Dog Master. Another Japanese exclusive game was released in 2006 for the PSP entitled The Dog Happy Life. This game takes on more of a Nintendog style, which I feel like makes a little bit more sense, especially because Nintendogs was like poppin' at this time. In this entry, you can dress up your dog with outfits and accessories and even have little photo shoots with them, which I think is really smart because the whole vibe of the dog is fisheye lens photo shoots, so I love that. Up next, an adventure game for the Wii and PS2, released in 2007, entitled The Dog Island. This time released in North America and Europe along with Japan, the game takes you through a journey in which you, controlling the dog, search for a special flower in order to help your sick sibling. This game received very mixed reviews and was described as an odd title, which makes me want to play it so bad. This sounds right up my alley because I love games from the early 2000s, mid 2000s that are weird but have character, you know? And which is why I don't click with a lot of the new farming games, because they just don't have like the weirdness of Harvest Moon, you know what I mean? And I didn't play Harvest Moon until a few years ago, so this is not nostalgia talking. But upon doing research, I need this game. You get to choose what dog breed you are and accessorize, as well as catching bugs and fish and barking at enemies, because that is quite literally all you can do to defend yourself in this game. You also get your own house, but not before sniffing out the ghosts first. And the final boss is a T-Rex skeleton. Something interesting, some players remember being left quote-unquote traumatized by this game, thinking it was scary, but I feel like that's most likely because this was probably their first exposure to illness and possible death, even though I'm pretty sure no dog actually dies in this game. I do believe that the illness your sibling has is kind of alluded to the fact that it could be deadly, but others who did finish the game describe it to be very wholesome. I couldn't help but notice the graphics vaguely remind me of, once again returning back to Harvest Moon Animal Parade for the Wii, and it's probably because they came out around the same time, and I do believe they were both published by Natsume, so that could be it, but that just makes me want to play it even more because I love that game. Anyway, let me know if you guys would be interested in watching me play this game, because I'm getting it either way, whether you guys like it or not. There's not a whole lot of information on why the dog fizzled out. To my knowledge, some merchandise is still being sold as of 2025, at least on the official website, but it looks like all the classic fisheye dog calendars are currently sold out. I could talk about the dog literally all day long, so as always, for everything I talk about in these videos, if you'd want a standalone video for the dog, I would absolutely do that. But for now, let's move on to the next toy line. Singamajigs. The police are coming because I mentioned these things. What are we drinking today? I have a hot coffee and a Diet Dr. Pepper at the same time. My body is screaming for water. Moving on to a more modern franchise, Singamajigs. Released by Mattel from 2010 to 2011, these battery-powered plush dolls would sing a note when squeezing their bellies, with the dolls' mouths opening to sing, and featured plastic teeth that would like click together and were visible, and honestly this was probably the weirdest part of these dolls, but I loved them. Each doll had a different voice and song based on their model, and they are differentiated by their vocal range, so like soprano, alto, tenor, all that stuff. I think I'm a soprano. I don't know. I'm not an opera singer, so don't come at me. They would also speak their own kind of like gibberish language and have their own sign off or goodbye when you like wouldn't play with them for a few minutes. A few seconds later, they'd be like,
Bye-bye.
These things are exceptionally creepy, and I love them. The basic Singamajigs included public domain songs such as Yankee Doodle, Skip to My Lou, and When the Saints Go Marching In, and these plushies would be featured in many different colors as well. Singamajigs' popularity skyrocketed after a few YouTube videos featuring them went viral, and it's no surprise. There's something inherently hilarious about them, and I actually laughed out loud quite a few times upon seeing them sing their songs like one note at a time. Fun fact, so I had a Singamajig from the first like wave or whatever, and after a few years nobody played with it anymore and it was kind of just like creeping everybody out, so my dad threw it out, and then as he was walking away it said bye-bye to him, so he was like, well, now I can't throw it away. So he took it out of the trash and we still have it to this day. However, we did lose it for a bit, but I went back to my house and took videos of me and my mom playing with it, and that was so fun. So here's that. Hello. Hi. Hi.
He has teeth too. Wait, is there like a mouthpiece?
I don't think he likes it. Hit him again.
Oh, there we go. Oh! Oh! Well, do it.
Skin. Although they were seemingly only produced for 1 year, we have reason to believe it was sold until about around 2013, so they probably just kept selling the same ones over and over again. But during its whopping 1 year in production, we would see many different seasonal variants and special editions. This is honestly my favorite part of talking about toys. I just love talking about the rarest and most highly sought after releases. Some seasonal releases include the Santa and Snowman, who sing Jingle Bells, and the reindeer with We Wish You a Merry Christmas, the red and pink Valentine doll with heart-shaped ears who sings Let Me Call You Sweetheart, the Easter bunny with Here Comes Peter Cottontail, the 4th of July themed Singamajig who of course sings the Star Spangled Banner, and the 4 Halloween special dolls, a pumpkin, ghost, witch, and skeleton. Some of the special releases include 2 birthday themed Singamajigs who can harmonize together, which is another aspect of these little guys that I can't believe I forgot to mention until now. If you have more than one Singamajig, they can harmonize together, which I don't know how I didn't know this. I think it's probably because, I mean, I only had one. There were also special edition Mickey and Minnie Singamajigs, and I have to say, burn it.
What?
I just don't think this was the move. I don't know if it's because we already know what Mickey and Minnie are supposed to look like. So it's just like extra uncanny seeing them with these weird mouths. Moving on, there was a 3-doll series titled The Hits, where the Singamajigs would sing licensed songs such as Girls Just Wanna Have Fun, Tutti Frutti, and the most iconic All Star by Smash Mouth. Unfortunately, the Hits toys were only released in Japan, the UK, and Korea, so we never got to see these toys in stores, but they're very rare, and I can imagine the Smash Mouth All-Star Singamajig is worth a lot. Mattel would release one more special line of the dolls called Singamajig Duets. This release included each Singamajig holding a little baby version, and they were able to sing together and harmonize. I really like this idea, as mentioned before. I didn't even know they were supposed to harmonize with each other, but in this case, you only had to buy the one, which I think is a really good idea, and the little ones are kind of cute. After 2011, no new Singamajigs were produced, and like we said before, I believe they were sold in stores until around 2013, so they were discontinued. However, they were brought back by Funrise and renamed Singamalings. Okay, so I was like fully prepared to be not impressed by this reboot because I have just experienced so much disappointment with redesigns of my favorite toy lines, but I have to say, they kind of killed it. They kind of crushed it. This reboot not only felt true to the original, but actually I feel like they improved it in many ways. And this was talked about a lot in Lula Loopsy's video, her standalone on just Singamajigs, which I highly recommend if you want to know more about these after watching this. First of all, they name each Singamaling, which I'm shocked they didn't do before. I feel like it makes it a lot easier to differentiate them instead of just being like,
oh, I have the blue one with the green hair. Oh, I have the one with the striped shirt.
It's like, Just name it Sally and move on. I can't say too much about the physical quality since I don't own any Singamalings, but just based off design alone, I do fear they ate. There's a lot more accessories, like there's one with like a mustache. The more feminine Singamalings, some of them have eyeshadow effect, which is so cute. Oh, Singamalings would also introduce Singamaling pets, which, you know what? F it, I like them. Give me 14 of them right now. This reboot did not last very long, seemingly only making it into 2017, and they were released in 2016. That was that for Singamalings. Anyway, as always with these toy videos, this is just the tip of the iceberg, so if you want to know everything about Singamajigs and Singamalings, I do highly recommend the Lulaloopsy video, but let's be real, if you're watching this, you probably already know who that is. I thought that video was really funny. Anyway, moving on. I've wanted to talk about these little guys for quite some time, and I debated doing a standalone video on it, but I think it fits pretty well here since we've talked a bit about Webkinz in the past. I still am wanting to do a deep dive. This was kind of like the most popular Webkinz competitor, you know? Back when Webkinz was all the rage, toy companies went through a phase where they wanted to get in on that sign up online cash, okay? We saw this with My E-Pets, which I don't believe is as popular as Shining Stars, but I mentioned Rescue Pets or My E-Pets in my last discontinued toy video, and I need to make a whole video on those. It's just there is like no information on My E-Pets anywhere. Shining Stars released in the mid-2000s were plush animals you could purchase in stores, which you would then visit the Shining Stars website, enter the code included with your pet, and explore the different worlds, games, music, movies. The main gimmick of this franchise was stars. Shining Stars was actually basically a collaboration with the International Star Registry, which, if you don't know, this organization is dedicated to buying and naming stars. It's like, I have a star and its name is Sally. I don't know why. Who's Sally? Fun fact, Sally is my name when I go to Dunkin' Donuts because my real name is Rory and they always think my name is Lori, and then there's a mix-up and I'm already an awkward person and I cannot do that every single day of my life. Anyway, we are getting so off topic. The website actually seemed pretty cute from what I've seen from YouTube videos, and there were definitely loyal fans on the site. However, most kids saw this as a Webkinz ripoff and wanted to stay loyal to Webkinz and thought it was like a betrayal if they tried to play any of the competitor games. So this led to Shining Stars constantly being compared to Webkinz, which isn't shocking in the slightest, honestly. Most Webkinz fans blindly hated on Shining Stars without even giving them or the website a shot, while others admitted that the plushies were cute and might even be better quality than Webkinz, but their website was extremely lacking. Some fans actually did enjoy the site and played occasionally, but a lot of them have the same story that they would log in and there would be like 8 people online, which is a huge problem because one of the biggest selling points in these sign up online games is community and make friends, and if your real life friends had Shining Stars, like you could play with them. So the fact that there was like nobody online definitely did not help. I don't like Shining Stars. They copied off of Webkinz, and they had no right to do that. They are so mean. I am going to file a complaint about them. I still cannot believe that they copied Webkinz just to make a quick buck or two. My mom said that Shining Stars were just like Webkinz, but when I entered them on my laptop, I was really disappointed. I could have got 2 Webkinz that day. Webkinz rules, and Shining Stars can kiss my butt. Shining Stars copied Webkinz, and some people claim Shining Stars were first, so I am a bit angry. Shining Stars were also sucked into the Webkinz killer urban legend, which is a whole other thing, but basically if you don't know, the Webkinz killer was a series of rumors that certain items and characters in the Webkinz game can kill your pets right in front of you. This was 2008, so like the norm, and just the fact that creepypastas were on the rise and shocking things in kids media was like Hey, I actually saw a SpongeBob episode where SpongeBob killed Squidward and buried him in the backyard, but they actually took it off air and I'm the only one who ever saw it. Like, everyone was just obsessed with doing that. People were starting to blame this on the Shining Stars. This specific rumor claimed that if you entered a Shining Stars code into Webkinz, you would receive a knife to then stab your Webkinz with. Same goes for Neopets, and let's just say any other pet online game was not safe from being blamed for killing your Webkinz. Anyway, Shining Stars went out of business sometime in 2011. This was when Russ Berry filed for bankruptcy. So those who would want to go onto the website at that time would be met with a message basically saying, we went bankrupt, this website is no longer available. And as of 2025, the website no longer exists. Although Shining Stars was short-lived, I really do think the vision was there. And honestly, I feel like if they brought it back, I don't know, I think I would be into it. Like, bitches love stars and astrology, they could totally bring that into it. I really like the idea. I don't know, maybe they could have made the plushies a little bit more gimmicky, but a lot of people remember really liking the plushies, and it's not like the brand saw no success at all. Shining Stars actually ended up getting their own Nintendo DS game and a DVD movie. So what do you think? Do you remember Shining Stars? And whose side were you on? You guys, the shock of nostalgia that surged through my veins after seeing this one photo should be studied. LIV Dolls were created by Spin Master from 2009 to 2012 and were produced very differently from other dolls on the market at the time. Firstly, their heads were much bigger than the average, say, Barbie doll, with acrylic eyes that often gave the illusion of glass eyes. In photos, they definitely come across as a little creepy, but I promise in real life, I had a few of these, and in real life, they were just really pretty to me. I don't know. Not only that, but the main gimmick of this toy line was every doll wore a wig. So you could easily take them off and have your doll rock a buzz cut, or you could swap wigs with your other LIV dolls. They even sold just wigs, so you could just like buy a standalone wig for your already existing LIV dolls. I remember feeling like this was the coolest thing ever, but this is coming from someone who literally painted their Barbie doll's hair with nail polish. Radioactive. They were literally like crunching off. Like I was like, no, it's fine. I love it. I love it, actually. Not only that, but these dolls had 14 points of articulation, such as working wrists, elbows, shoulders, knees, ankles. This allowed the dolls to actually be able to bend their knees and arms, and the dolls were advertised to be able to do 150 poses. I feel like the point of this doll line was for the main 4 girls to feel like a real group of teenage girls. Sophie, a hairstylist who is always forgetting her glasses. Katie, a cool and skilled skateboard who is actually super clumsy. Alexis, a fashionista who loves to dress her friends, and Daniela, a musician with big dreams. At this point, in my opinion, at least for me personally, LIV Dolls felt like the cooler doll to have. Barbie started feeling a little kiddie at this point. Bratz were definitely a good contender. At that time, I was just like obsessed with like older like teenage girls. Like I just wanted to be them so bad, and that probably comes from all my favorite TV shows, including like teenage girls like Buy Their Lockers, iCarly, Victorious, Shake It Up, and a deep cut, How to Rock. Do you guys remember that? Should I make a video on How to Rock? But there was something about LIV Dolls that felt within reach. Like I could be them. I was being realistic. I knew I could not serve and slay like a Bratz doll, but Hayden in her little gray beanie and flannel, now that I can do. They felt like real average teenage girls, and I was sold. Anyway, the first wave included the main 4 girls in their personal styles and would only go up from there. They released some well-loved lines during the years, like the Twist and Dance release that included movable hips to make the dolls actually dance, which is wild, and I just think is so freaking cool. Live in Wonderland was a Target exclusive that featured the girls in Alice in Wonderland inspired outfits. The Moonlight Dance line featured the dolls in winter formal dresses. The spa makeover set that allowed you to change the doll's hair and makeup using cold water, which is a feature in toys that always impresses me like a little bit too much. Like, why am I so shook by that? Maybe it's because this was the only release that I had LIV Dolls from, but I really loved the It's My Nature line. I had Hayden, a character who first appeared featured in this release, who I just now remembered I used to pretend was the main girl from House of Anubis. I forget her name. And if that isn't the most 2011 sentence ever, I don't know what is. And Katie, whose outfit I was freaking obsessed with, and I always used to pretend she was Tori from Victorious. Those knee-high sneaker boot things were the vibe at the time, okay? At least for me. It was said that during LIV's run, Mattel and MGA Entertainment were still battling it out in court over Barbie and Bratz. And so the creators of LIV actually got the dolls out a year before they were intended to be released because they were like, oh shit, we should take advantage of this. Like, we have no competitors right now. Go, go, go! But unfortunately, the success slowly fizzled out. And there are many different reasons for this, at least opinions, because it was never like fully said why. I think just low sales. So I was like 9 or 10 during this time, and I liked my LIV dolls a lot. I was actually quite obsessed with them, but I wasn't involved in any like fan groups or forums at the time, so I really didn't like talk to anyone else who was obsessed with them. So I never really knew what the perception was. But from what I've seen researching for this video, a lot of fans felt like after the Twist and Dance release, the franchise slowly went downhill. And this is for various different reasons. Some people thought it was getting too gimmicky. Fans loved the wigs and the points of articulation, but everything else was just kind of like, okay, so now their eyes close when they go to sleep for the sleepover. Instead of trying to do all these random things, can we, one, add more characters? Because at this point, there's only, what, 5 girls and like 1 guy. They made a boy who, by the way, didn't even wear a wig. His hair was rooted into him, so you couldn't even give him a sleigh wig, so that was annoying. And also, there was not a lot of diversity, and I mean that in several different ways. Amongst like the main 5 girls, there were like 3 white girls, 1 black girl, and 1 Hispanic girl who I think like wasn't even confirmed to be Hispanic. I don't know. There's not a lot of information on these dolls, by the way. It was just kind of like implied. But they all also had the same face. There was not a lot of incentive to buy any new dolls because, one, if you wanted a different haired doll, you could just buy a wig or switch the wigs. And 2, they probably should have added more characters, more diversity, like a darker skinned black girl or like a Asian girl or like a super pale white girl and a tan girl. Like, give us something more. You know what I mean? It just, they all had the same face. The eye colors were a little different. So it was kind of like, why are we buying more of these? Like, there's no point. Once Monster High came out, LIV dolls were done. Still, when I see Monster High dolls in the stores, I'm shook. I think they're the coolest things I've ever seen. It's pretty hard to compete. They had their moment, they had their shot, and they just didn't grab onto it good enough. You know? Also, after a bit, they stopped doing so much articulation. They released LIV Brights or whatever, so they were like lots of bright colors, which is weird because that's not really the vibe of the toy line. And they didn't have points of articulation. They couldn't move their knees and their arms, and that was like one of the main selling points. It was the articulation and the wigs. Take away that, you don't have a super solid foundation. This doll line is pretty hard to get information for, so I would love some super fans to comment below and let me know what's going on. Also, random fact, LIV dolls were actually included in a season 7 episode of Pretty Little Liars as the main girls, and I just thought that was really interesting. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this whole thing. Lastly, we will be discussing the Idog, which is another like wave of nostalgia. And actually, when I was researching for this video and I had a photo of the Idog up, Louis looked over my shoulder and I think he had like an epiphany or something. Released in 2005 by Sega Toys, this robotic dog would light up and dance to the music played when plugged into an MP3 player or iPod. I remember thinking this was like the greatest technology ever. I was like, we are in the future right now. But it does go deeper than I initially thought. The Idog also had different emotions conveyed through the color they would light up. This included green, which meant happy, yellow meant okay, and red meant your Idog was angry. Plugging in your music player was equivalent to feeding your Idog. And get this, supposedly they would develop a different personality based on the type of music you were playing it. What? I don't know why I'm so shook by that. Like, how does it know? The Idog was released in many different colors, such as white, black, red, pink, green, blue, and even animal prints like tiger and Dalmatian. Not only that, but clothing and accessories were sold, such as feet warmers and scarves, and that's just so cute. The variants did not stop there. Spider-Man costumes, mini Idog backpack clips, giant dancing releases, 2 different plush variants, and even mini McDonald's and Burger King promotions. You didn't think they would stop at dogs, though, did you? Of course, the iCat was released with 7 different touch sensors and 3 different color variants, including black, white, and red. The Penguin also made its debut, although it only had 2 touch sensors, and one was used to annoy your penguin, which is odd to me. Like, why is he the only one who gets taunted? Like, I don't know. Next, the eye turtle, who can move its shell up and down and tap its feet, which is so cute. And finally, the weirdest of them all, the eye fish. This thing's movements were made to look like it's swimming, and supposedly it was made kind of poorly, so it would like get tangled up in its own cord, and it was a whole thing. I don't know who had the eye fish, but I'd love to hear about it. Some of the more interesting releases for me personally include the pastel pink and blue lovely and happy variants, the special edition royal purple carry bag bundle exclusive, the cow print Idog, the Kiss collection, and all the different Dalmatian variants such as the rainbow and pink releases. Anyway, the franchise was quietly discontinued in 2009. I can't find a solid reason for this, especially because it seemed like there were so many variants, and I personally remember lots of commercials for this. However, it probably was just like a quick fad that died out just as quick as it came. And I read a good amount of reviews from 2005 to 2009, and a lot of parents say kind of the same things. Like, their kid played with it for like a few hours and then got bored of it, and that was it. There were also a few complaints about malfunctions and the iDog just not turning on after a while. I'd love to hear if any of you guys had these and your experience with it. Did you play with them a lot, or were you kind of bored? Did they break? Did you love your iDog? I'm so interested to see how people actually felt about these. But yeah, so that's about it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment below what you thought about all these toys, if you have them, if you've never heard of them, maybe some toys you'd like me to talk about. Probably the next toy video I do will be recalled toys or Generation 3 My Little Ponies that I've been wanting to do for so long. My apologies for the late upload this week. I am actually in the process of moving, so if I'm in many different rooms, that's because I'm currently setting up my new filming situation, which I'm not quite sure what it's gonna be yet, but I promise it'll be cute. I'm trying my best, and yeah, so I really hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next week. Bye!